So how's the reception been to this record coming home? How is it? It seems to, for the most part, it seems pretty positive, at least from what I've seen. And what's your fan reaction been like to this album?
We got in Germany the famous Ruhrpott Rock Dinner. Ruhrpott Rock Dinner means we invited 80 people of our fan club or fans, get our newsletter on our website, to a listening session with a German mega super big schnitzel and French fries. And that's great. They are sitting there, we're eating, we're drinking, and then we are standing in front of these people after they got this dinner and to present our record. And we are talking about the songs, we're talking about the development of each song and the sense and the lyrics, what we mean and whatever. And the people love it. And we were doing this before we released the record, by the way. 2 weeks before releasing this record, we got this listening session with the fans. And they were totally happy about this wide range of different styles again. They love. That's what I realized. Moonlight Bay seems to be the best song for them because you can sing along with it. It reminds them on Touch the Rainbow or a big sort of Living in a World. The Touch the Rainbow, the intro reminds them on Living in a World a little bit. So a lot of good memories came up while listening to this song. And they love it. They love it. It's really cool reactions, and even the press people, a lot of people say it's a great record, and we get some bad reviews, that's like, it's every time you got some people who got the problem with too many melodic lines into a song or whatever. But I don't want to scream on one note the whole song through. That's the reason why. No, I get it. I have to disappoint them.
Well, this is going to sound strange because this isn't something that normally happens. I love the record. My favorite song on the album is "I Won't Sell My Soul," the very last track on the album.
Great, yeah,
and
that's cool.
And the last song in the album typically is not like my favorite. Normally, I mean, I think like maybe like on "Somewhere in Time" by Iron Maiden, I think "Alexander the Great" might be my favorite track off of that, but you don't normally have the last song being your favorite one. But I remember listening to that. And I'm like, for whatever reason, I kept repeating that song, and then I realized it was my favorite song in the album.
Yeah, maybe the message. No, this is the last message that we sent out. The last song, the last message, and that's what we did the whole 35 years through. We don't sell our souls, and that was really cool. And I really appreciate to live through 35 years of Axxis. It was a privilege. It's wonderful to earn money with music. Even that is wonderful, and to live from Axxis. And that's I really love it.
With the current climate we have going on right now in the musical business, as we call it, if you're what advice would you give to bands out there right now that's looking to do what you've done?
That's very, very difficult. Not to the first motivation should not be to earn money with it. That should not be the first motivation, because in my studio, I record sometimes a band, and everybody want to be a rock star making money and whatever. I said, then do hip hop or something like that. Rock music is a kind. When I start to make music, my first intention was to shock my parents, to fight against establishment. That's the reason why I got long hair, because everybody got short hair. Yeah. I got long hair, and I said, hey, fuck you all with the short hair. I'm a rebellion. I was only 12 years old, but I feel like a rebellion. I want to change the world. And that was rock music. That was the main reason. It was the kind of philosophy for this kind of generation. And today, that's what's disappointing me in this business today. It's a kind of, like I said before, a delivery service for the fans. But on the other hand, I see it's all funny, and we are playing on cruises and whatever. And sometimes the fans are richer, get more money than the musicians on stage, And it's strange. It's a kind of fun generation going on right now, and that's not my intention in making music. I try to be a rebellion, but now I'm getting older, and now I'm getting a little bit tired. Maybe that's the reason why I don't want to be a rebellion anymore. But in this period of time, rock music was my way of life, my philosophy of putting a statement out in this world.
Yeah, and you put a pretty good statement out over the last 35 years. You really have. Definitely a very unique band. The one thing I could always say about you guys, if one of your songs comes on, I know who it is.
Yeah.
Nobody sounds like you guys. I mean,
yeah, that's yeah.
And I
that's
think
what you love or you love or hate it, but you see, this is Berny is singing. If you hate this voice or you love his voice, but you hear it, it's Axxis. And that's, for example, that's what I like in this band in the 80s. Queen, for example. That was it doesn't matter which kind of song you listen to Queen, even if it's Radio Gaga or We Will Rock You or Bohemian Rhapsody or whatever, you hear the voice of Freddie Mercury and you say, wow, that's cool. It's Queen. Maybe you love a song, maybe you hate a song, but it's Queen. And that's what I love in Axxis too. And that's already, that's what's disappointing me in the scene. Everything sounds like the same. You got these lower voices, everything. Everybody's singing in the same way. They are great singers, by the way, but it's not so colorful or diverse like in the 80s. No, you got Yes or something like these bands or whatever. Yeah.
No, I completely get it, man. It's great. Well, I got to be honest. We're going to end it off here pretty soon. I do. Like I said, again, congratulations. You made it 35 years. You've put out a great record. If you're going to go out, I mean, the record is very good. It's probably, if I had to take a pick, it's probably a top 5 album for me that you guys have put out. And
we got it. Great.
Exactly. And it's interesting because if I were to take like my favorite albums that you've put out, I don't think there's really an album where I could say, I don't like it. Right. I mean, you've had some interesting stuff. You've done a covers album where you did a lot of 70s, songs, some of them were disco songs, which I thought was interesting. You've had this era, like, coming up kind of like this hard rock sort of sound in the beginning. Then he went to more of a power metal sound at some point, and then kind of went back to a combination of that in what you started out with. And I think that when I listen to this record, this is a great representation of most of pretty much what you've done over the last 35 years, as far as the songwriting is concerned.
Yeah. If we got this, that's wonderful for us because we try to do our best on every record, and sometimes it works, or sometimes it doesn't work. But I think, to be honest to you, I love the songs. I say this to every record. It's a great record, and if you are, that's a good thing with you, Tony. You are open-minded, and you are just listen to music, and you don't expect something. You just open-minded, listen to it, and it's something developed in your mind. And if you listen to the music, and that's wonderful. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, I look at the back catalog. I'm looking at my 5 favorite albums. This one's obviously there, but if I were to pick like the other 4, The Big Thrill would definitely be in that list. I think that album is fantastic. Paradise and Flames would be up there. I think from that sort of era where you had a female singer. That album from start to finish is almost perfect, and it was pretty much an album of pretty much in my top like 2 or 3 albums for 2006 when it came out. It was the album of the year actually back then. And then I go to another album that I consider the black edition and the white edition kind of one record. So I probably would have, that would be one of the other ones.
It's the same concept, like Coming Home. Try to get all these different styles together, but we got so many different songs that we have to put 2 CDs out in the market.
Like and again, I consider that one record, kind of like how I consider Halloween's Keeper, the 7 Keys albums, one album, because initially that's what they wanted to do. And then the other one that I would probably say is, right there would be Back to the Kingdom. So it's a pretty diverse, it's a pretty diverse group of records, and there's a lot of other albums that are great. I mean, it's hard to really, it's kind of like you, it's kind of hard to figure out what your favorite album would be, but I have to be honest with you, those would be, along with this one, that would be my top 5.
Great,
cool. And I like the EMI stuff a lot, but I think the band really kind of found itself a lot more, kind of found itself once you did Back to the Kingdom. Once that happened, I think you were on the right track, and it was pretty consistent.
That's cool. That sounds great for me. Now it's very interesting when I'm talking with somebody like you, who are into the band, who realize or recognize the development of the band, and that's wonderful to talk with these guys. If you are just a power metal fan, who just, for example, a lot of Spanish people are discovered Axxis with Paradise in Flames, Utopia, Time Machine, with these records, where we got this power metal, where we started this power metal elements in our music. They were a little bit disappointed when we're moving back to our first period of time, the traditional hard rock style songwriting, and because they expect more these power metal stuff. But we are not a power metal band. Axxis is a band with different styles. We got some reggae elements in our songs. We got some power metal. We got sometimes speed metal elements in our songs. We got sometimes melodic. This time Moonlight Bay is a kind of shanty. It's kind of sail away, sail away. It's more, I don't know, shantycore song-based song. That's very, very complicated to get this band on in one direction. That's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And people like you are dealing with it. They understand the band.
Well, the thing is, I always look at, I don't go by people's reviews. I've always approached music with one simple expectation and basically one simple question I have to answer. Do I like it or do I not like it? You know,
exactly.
if it's
very
not,
easy. Yeah.
If it's not power metal, let's say, for example, I'm someone that loves power metal. And I have gone on my show and said that power metal is not something, especially over the last like 20 years, you know, there hasn't been really any power metal bands with, you know, there's a couple now that I like, but power metal for me kind of got stale in a sense. But I always look at it, do I like it or do I not like it? So, for example, what a lot of people will do is they will say, well, this person isn't in a band anymore, so I know I'm not going to like the album, when they haven't heard the album, right? Yeah. Or if someone, if you look at a review, and reviews are so weird, and this is why I don't look at them, because it could be completely, like someone will say, oh, it's boring, or it doesn't have this, or whatever, and I'll listen to the album and I'll like it. So the way I've always approached it is I have one question. Do I like the music or do I not like the music? If a band changes,
that's what style, exactly. Keith Olsen told me a good song is a good song. It doesn't matter which direction, which if it's power metal or hard rock or pop music or whatever. A good song is a good song, and that's it. Very easy.
And there are bands that have changed direction at times, and I go and listen to it. You know, honestly, it's not what they did before, but in that kind of style of music, it's actually pretty good. And then there are bands that have done that where, you know, same kind of thing where I'm like, it sounds bad. And not because they changed the direction, but the songs themselves in that kind of style that they're playing really aren't all that great. You know, it's just...
A couple of days, I spoke with a friend of mine and he said, which is your favorite band? And I was just thinking about it. And then I realized after 40 years or 50 years of music listening, I said, I never got a famous band or a band I really love. I always love records. For example, by Iron Maiden, I love Number of the Beast. That was my favorite record of Iron Maiden. Or Whitesnake, this album 1987, wonderful.
Number of the Beast, my favorite Iron Maiden.
Or Metallica. I'm not a Metallica fan, but then the Black Album came out, and I said, "Oh fuck, what a great record! Unbelievable sound, the songwriting, great." And I realized I was an album. I'm a fan of albums. I'm a fan of songs and what's going on their record. Not a fan of a band, and that's a way I'm writing songs too. I just try to work with only with an acoustic guitar, very pure and rough. I'm sitting there in my hometown writing songs, and if the songs are working in this pure style, they can work with a big sound or with big arrangements or whatever. And that is our philosophy, and that's the reason why we working with different styles, and we are not easy to catch. Yeah,
it's funny. Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast is my favorite album by them, and
wonderful songwriting.
And the craziness of the 1987 album by Whitesnake, you know, just the guitar parts that John Sykes
unbelievable
are insane.
Exactly.
Insane. Or like if you listen to his solos, like if you listen to like Thin Lizzy, Thunder and Lightning, you hear that guy solo. I mean, it's nuts. You know,
unbelievable.
And I know people in tribute bands that, you know, to learn that stuff. I mean, it is crazy how much time and effort it took them to be able to learn that
that's
stuff.
another interesting thing. That reminds me of a story. We are using we're looking for a new guitar player 10 years ago, and we got a lot of famous guitar players in our rehearsal room, and they just have to play the riff of Kingdom of the Night. A very easy riff, in my opinion. It sounds easy, but it is not easy. They are not able to play with downstrokes this fucking Kingdom of the Night riff, because I played it with downstrokes, and no, everybody but I played da 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 da. Yeah, and there was a small little fine-tuned thing, but it's different. The whole riff sounds different.
Yeah,
and that's Axxis. It sounds easy, but it is not easy.
Yeah, that's a pretty good description. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that. I'm a big fan of albums myself. I mean, there are bands that I absolutely love because I just love most of their albums, or maybe all of them. But I get what you're saying. There's some bands I'm really not into. Then I hear an album by them, I'm like, wow, I mean, this is pretty good, right?
Cool.
So
yeah.
I get where you're coming from on that. Well, I got to be honest. I really like this album. I appreciate your time and everything, and coming on the show and talking about this.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. And again, great job on this. If you're going to end the band, it's going to end this chapter of your musical career at this point. You definitely put a great record out. You didn't put it out something.
We're going with a bang.
We're going out with a bang. That's correct, man. Well, hey, thanks for coming on. Seriously.
Thank you, Tony.
Definitely some great stuff. Any last words for fans that are going to check out this interview?
Well, the world is turning and turning around. It doesn't matter what's going on the surface of the world,
Right.
It's still turning. It's not very important what's going on. And I think if we are making the fans happy with this album, I'm happy. And if you are happy, I'm happy. So a wonderful, I think, relationship.
Gotcha.